Hi guys, it's Smithy here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Gamers Podcast. This is a podcast that I used to run with a couple of my friends way back in 2014, I believe. So it's about 3 years onwards since the last episode went out, but I'm here to restore it. This idea of a podcast was pretty much because every time I would get online with my two good friends, David and Stephen, we would basically, because they lived in America, I lived in England, we would basically have like a podcast. Our gaming sessions would vary from 2 to 5 hours plus, and we would just basically talk about everything and anything, and we used to have a laugh, and I was just always on the idea and on the fence that, hey, we should literally make a podcast of this. You know, people would find this funny, it would be fun to do, we could do prank calls, we could do this, we could do that, etc. And, you know, we eventually started doing them in podcasts. We did a couple of episodes, and then David eventually sort of went his way, and me and Stephen, we carried the light. We did have another guy come in called Eddie, and he chipped in now and again for a couple of episodes. Cool guy, still got him on Skype, still got him on PSN and whatnot. Still get on fantastically well with David and Stephen as well. And you know, David's always said to me, like, oh, you know what, it would be kind of fun just to do like one more podcast episode, just to, like, you know, a couple years on. And I've always liked the idea of doing podcasts. I've always liked the idea of just talking for long durations and really getting everything off your chest, and just talking and trying to interact with the audience and whatnot. And I just thought, you know what, I wanted to restart my podcast. I did have another podcast which was called the Smithcast podcast, but that, you know, I have the Gamers podcast, which has more episodes, it has its own intro, etc. It was just a nice podcast to do, and I like it. I like that name better because it's more about the gamers. It's, you know, it is the Gamers podcast. It can be about games, it can be about gamers, and I just think it suits us better because if you go from the point that I can invite any gamer, I can invite any fan, any subscriber, any YouTuber, whatever, developer, whatever, I can just invite them in, and we can talk about gaming, we can talk about anything, and that's just the way it's going to be. So this might be a solo podcast I do every week. There might be a guest every now and again, who knows. Haven't really thought about the return of it, but I wanted to get an episode out because that podcast, like I said, you know, was almost 3 years ago since the last episode. So a lot has changed, I've changed, and a lot of my hopes and thoughts and whatnot have changed over the couple of years, and I just thought it'd be fun to really get back into the format of doing a podcast, uploading it weekly, or at least trying to get one out every week. That might not happen, who knows, we'll have to wait and see what the formula is and how we go about these things. I've always wanted to do them sort of, I've literally, my dream would be just to do like an hour a night of podcasts and upload them every single day. That would be a dream come true, but the state of mind to do that, you know, you've got to have an interesting working formula for that. You know, the format of how that podcast goes out, you've just pretty much got to be interested in everything that you put out. And whereas I think with weekly stuff, there's always something that interests you, that always gets an opinion and sparks a topic and really, you know, makes a conversation. And I think that's probably the best way to go about it. Like I said, you know, I'm not going to be able to record every single week, but I would like to try and keep this on the things to do. You know, I would like to have this consistently uploaded. So that is my hopes and dreams. A lot of you probably don't know about this podcast. This is the first time you heard of it, but yeah, there are 14 other episodes of this. We'll put this in the playlist so you can view all of them if you wish. You can go back and listen to how horrible my mic was, but we had some fun topics. I remember me and Stephen, we stuck it out, and you know, Stephen might come on again. I don't know, it probably won't be that hard to get a hold of him, nor with David. You know, I'm pretty sure they'd come on. We had one episode with Melissa and Nate as well, you know, two of my other friends. So we had a good structure, we had a good group of friends, and we just all thought we were the bomb, pretty much. Like we just thought, you know, we could make each other laugh every time. Like, the way I am with David and Stephen is, like, pretty much any time, like, we don't have to do anything together for months, right? We can go months on end without, speaking online, like on PS4 or whatever. Nate doesn't have a console anymore, so I need to talk to him on Facebook, whatever. But I mean, David and Steven, they're like my boys. They're like just like my two lost American kids. That are finding their own way in the world. It's we like I said, we can just go months without playing a game without each other. We'll jump in a party. We'll just have an absolute ball. We just obviously we talk on Facebook, whatever, Skype and whatever, but it's just, when you have something working like that, where you have like a friendship that just, you can just not talk or really interact with each other. You don't have to be there, like holding each other's hands kind of thing. You can just, do whatever you want, and then when you come back down and it's time to, have a good old group chat, you can just relive some memories, have some fun. It's always great because, I mean, you just know that like what we had like way back in those days, like it was a good era to be alive in terms of gaming. But that's enough about the past. If David and Steven do end up listening to this, if they do see this, you guys want to come on, let me know. You're more than welcome to. I'm more than happy to have you. Same with you, Nate. If you want to come on here, then whatever. And yeah, so what I want to talk about first is Ubisoft. Ubisoft, to me, the poison of the gaming community. They really are, and the reason they are is because they have this itching sort of sense, right? That every E3 comes out, right? Ubisoft do their presentation. They always have 5 or 6 okay games, right? That catch your eye, that make you interested, that make you think that looks a bloody good game, right? Remember that Watch Dogs era, right? Watch Dogs came out. It was supposed to be a previous gen game. It was going to be, then got delayed. It was going to be released on the PS4. Well, no, it was supposed to be the first next gen game. That's what it was supposed to be. And it got delayed, and it got delayed, and then it came out, and it was awful. It was a nice format of a game. It was a nice idea, but it was shit. And take a look at The Crew. The Crew was supposed to be the next perfect big car game, and it was shit. For Honor is supposed to be the next big thing. A week later, it's not getting the stuff done, is it? Zombie U was supposed to be a big thing. Didn't turn out to be. Tom Clancy's The Division, that has come to some success, but it's not got the success it's probably asked for. When everyone was playing it at E3, I remember Syndicate was uploading videos of it and saying, oh, this game's actually really cool, it's interesting, it's great, and everyone made it out to be this next great game. It was supposed to be just like Call of Duty, search and destroy constantly, fun to play, hide, break stuff, etc. And it just didn't deliver. In my eyes, it might have delivered in someone else's eyes, but in my views, it's not deemed as a failure. It's probably their most successful. You can look at the Division. The Division was supposed to be the be-all and end-all survival game. It was supposed to be the one that took it to new measures, to new lengths. It was supposed to be the dream game that we wanted. You can compete with these players online, your friends, you can team up, etc. And they're making a lot of those games now. They've got the Tom Clancy's Recon Wildlands, which the beta's out now. It's due out next week. And they make these games that are supposed to be, they have a good idea, it's just Ubisoft doesn't support good games. That's my only issue with Ubisoft. And every single one of those games that I mentioned, even Assassin's Creed looks good every single year, but you just know it's going to be rattled with bugs, the storyline's not going to be there, it's not going to live up to expectation, it's just going to, you'll buy it, and then a month later you can buy it for £30 cheaper. That's what Ubisoft are. They just don't have a standout team that can make a game and compete. They really don't have that sort of studio with them. That the team of developers, they just don't seem to be able to keep their hype aware to people. Their hype always disappears. For Honor's been out less than 2 weeks now, Probably a bit more than 2 weeks actually. But I didn't like the beta. I was hyped for the game all year. I thought, you know what, this is going to be a good game. Beta didn't interest me. A lot of people, what Ubisoft are doing smartly is they are paying a lot of money for people to stream that game, to people just to show interest. And when you have that sort of money, and you sell millions of copies of a game, you can just advertise on YouTube, on Twitch, on these live streaming sites, and you can just say, look, I want you to live stream my game, just don't say anything bad about it, just live stream it, we'll pay you huge money. And that's what they do, and that's what really gets them the sales figures that they achieve for every game. I think Ubisoft, they don't they don't make home runs with games. They sort of make, the picture is good, the quality of the game in terms of how it looks and how it plays can be alright. Where they struggle is the replayability, the consistency, the flow of the game, the interest of the game after its release, the sort of just the format that you want for it, it's just not there. And with Ubisoft, it seems to be becoming more and more, I seem to be trying to avoid every Ubisoft game I can, because I got The Division, I got The Crew, I got the Assassin's Creed, I got Watch Dogs, I got Trials Fusions. These are games that I wanted to get, and I got them. I thought, wow, this is going to be great. My life is going to be great. I've got all these great games to play, and they didn't live up to the hype. I haven't played Watch Dogs 2. I haven't played 4 on the full game. There's just no game out there that I would say is a complete game. The first 3 Assassin's Creed games, they were fantastic. Never ever have they lived up to expectations since. Trials Fusion, yeah, it was a good game, but it's not had the hype that it had a couple of years ago. Maybe that's just the audience right now, who knows. Steep was supposed to be, it's obviously come out with another sort of winter sport gaming, skiing and all that, like winter sports stuff by its side. But Steep was supposed to be a fantastic game, right? I was hyped for Steep when I saw the trailer. I was like, oh my god, you know what? We haven't had a decent skiing game since the PS2 days, and it's been pretty quiet. And here they are, Ubisoft made this game, looks great, it's just boring. No replayability, nothing to do, and I'm fed up of these open world Ubisoft games where you have the whole world to explore. You can do it with teammates, or you can do it by yourself, and if not, we'll just throw a few bots in there who you can compete with. And it's just, stop making the same old game. You're like, pretty much, you're becoming the whole sort of model where I'm buying into this game, it's not going to be good, but it's going to be okay because I can sell it. That's the sort of model you're buying into, is that it's good for the first couple of days and that's it. It's becoming like a Telltale studio pretty much, where you have to buy the next game to live the next episode kind of thing. Like, everything is just money with Ubisoft right now. And Ubisoft, to me, they're just a company to avoid. I don't like Ubisoft games. I used to, but now I've just realised how shit they are, and that they can put good trailers together, but it's not worth it. I think the last proper game they released that was really good was the South Park game, and their latest South Park game got delayed, unfortunately. So will it be this year? Probably not. Early 2018 is what they're looking at, pretty much, I bet, with the Fractured Butthole, so which they do live up to expectations with that. But in terms of gaming in 2017, right, there's some games that I'm looking forward to in terms of gaming in 2017. I think the biggest one, of course, Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a game that I love, that I've embraced, that is sort of like my primary go-to game. It's my game that I'm going to be most comfortable on. It's the game that I'm mostly going to be still playing in 5 months' time, pretty much. If the COD's there, if the interest is there, if it's got like a side game like zombies and it's interesting, then I'll be there. And throughout the years that Call of Duty has come on to next-gen software, you know, onto the PS4 and Xbox One, Call of Duty just hasn't been interesting to me at all. You know, zombies last year for Black Ops 3 was the only reason I kept Black Ops 3 installed, you know, because I was interested in the zombies, because I liked playing maps, I liked getting to high rounds, I liked enjoying myself, you know, getting all these like bubblegum features. I liked just not having a pay-to-win system, and it was kind of cool. But however, with that it has so many limitations, because it's not zombies itself is not as tough as what it used to be. You know, it used to be this sort of game mode where you'd go into a map, you would pack a punch, you'd have 4 perks, and now of course you can get a perkaholic, you have 8 or 9 perks, which is great. You know, I've always thought the idea of expanding the perk limit would be a great idea, and if you don't have a perkaholic, you can get an on the house or unquenchable, whatever, and you know, that's that. But I think where zombies has gone wrong is it's not developed enough in terms of, heck, if I play Black Ops 1 zombies, if I play Black Ops 2, World at War zombies, etc., the guns just have the profiles. The guns are lit, you know, they're the real deal, you know, the Galil, the RPD, you go back to World at War guns, you know, they're just so good. And, you know, Mustang and Sally, etc., they're just awesome. Black Ops 3 had none of that. Black Ops 3, you didn't really care about the guns. You just got on with it. You know, you could do well with any gun as long as you just put Blast Furnace or Deadwire on it. As soon as you got an attachment on it, it didn't matter what gun you had, and that's quite sad when it comes to it. I think the option in private matches should be that you should be able to enable Black Ops 1 guns or the mystery boxes from Black Ops 1. You know, you should be able to enable this sort of weapon list. That sort of way to play zombie games would be amazing, and I think that's probably going to all come in due time. In terms of the next Treyarch game, I think we'll have a lot of customization in their next game. I think Treyarch is always the studio that innovates in a different way compared to the others. They seem to put a lot of good ideas out, and they seem to fix a lot of ideas that the other studios put in. You know, Call of Duty right now interests me. However, Call of Duty 2017 does interest me. I'm slightly inhaled to see what they're going to produce. You know, Sledgehammer is the studio that is making the game. They'll be publishing it. It's going to be boots on the ground. It's either going to be set, you know, in modern times, maybe a little bit ahead of Black Ops 2, and a bit futuristic, or it's going to be set in the past. And that is exciting, because that's the level of style of play that Call of Duty needs to be in. That environment where it's boots on the ground, nothing's futuristic, no wall running, no jetpacks, no jumping around. You know, that's the style where Call of Duty needs to be. It needs to go back to its original roots. That's what they're doing, that's what they keep on teasing, and I just think that right now Call of Duty is that sort of dead bird that keeps on beating itself around, and no one wants to. There's a dead bird in the road, it's been run over, no one wants to pick it up, they just keep on running over it, and it's like Call of Duty, you know, no one wants to stop playing Call of Duty. They keep on wishing every year that, hey, you know what, maybe this will be the year that I get back into it. They pre-order it, they play it on day one, and, you know, it's like a dead bird. You know, no one wants to pick up a dead bird. They just keep it there and expect it to go away. And no one wants to miss a Call of Duty release. If you're a fan, you still buy the games, you still pre-order the games, you still want to at least attempt to have the games be there for you. You know, you want to get into the games. You don't want them to make a bad Call of Duty game. But right now, it's just a toss and tell between, are you pay to win or are you not? I think as Call of Duty goes on, they'll sort of course, they're going to pursue this route that's working for them, which is, of course, microtransactions. You know, Activision's made that clear. They're here to stay. What I think will get better is the sort of communication between us and supply drops, is that hey, we're not going to buy this shit anymore. You know, we don't want this in our game. If you are going to make it, then make it cosmetics only. Find us a way to get us more weapon. If you're going to put weapons in, we need a system where we can, you know, realistically achieve, you know, be able to get the weapons that you've got in the game. We need a system that works for every single player. That, hey, if we want a gun, we can. I would personally love the old school Battlefield way, where if you wanted a gun, you could buy the gun, and I think that's what they're doing now in Battlefield 1 pretty much, where you can unlock classes for a certain amount of money and whatnot. And that to me would be heaven. If Call of Duty had that system, I would literally pay $5, £5 for every gun in the game, because I want every gun. I want new guns, I want new weapons, but I want them in the right way. Not in a way that promotes supply drops, that promotes gambling, that sort of promotes addiction. Not in the sort of way that is unfair, where, heck, Infinite Warfare comes out, rather than fixing the game a week later because it's broken as hell, you release 600 plus microtransaction DLCs, which are available in supply drops. Now, how am I supposed to get weapons in those supply drops if there's 600 plus items in supply drops? And also you've got to imagine 100 plus of the basic stuff on launch day. You know, it's just crazy right now. Call of Duty will learn from this. Supply drops will be the death of Call of Duty if they're not done correctly. If we feel cheated, the answers will tell, the answers will show, and I think that a lot of people will continue to see the praise of Destiny and Overwatch, Battlefield, etc., and Call of Duty will suffer in silence until they really... These are no longer accepted, they're no longer sort of viewed right, they're no longer sort of appealing. We need to change our business model. But right now, that business model is working for them. It's going to be here, and that's just the way it's going to be. But I'm very excited to see what Call of Duty 2017 brings for us. I think that Sledgehammer can make a decent game. I feel as if Advanced Warfare wasn't the game. I just think it just wasn't until after release. So release came out, of course we had the Day Zero edition, which was awesome, you know, big hurrah for that. And of course, you know, you had your all like professional COD players coming out saying this is going to be an awesome year for Call of Duty, I'm so excited. And then halfway through, most of them retire and quit, and they were like, oh, you know what, it wasn't that great. Advanced Warfare came out, some good maps, some good ideas. I liked the fact that you could upgrade your kill streaks. That was pretty neat. That was an interesting strategy. Of course, they innovated to, you know, booster packs, etc. Supply drops they birthed. They did their own take on zombies. They had a lot of good weapons in there. You know, the Bell, the ASM-1. I loved the feature, the game mode of Uplink. I thought that was fantastic. Uplink's never been the same in every other game. I thought the way Sledgehammer interacted with their community, it felt as if they really wanted their game to succeed. And of course, I don't sound silly doing that because you look at a game developer, what they want. Of course, they want their game to succeed. They want their game to be a success. But Sledgehammer seemed to have gone to an overall extreme. You know, they were ringing YouTubers, asking them what they thought of their games. They were dropping in their live streams to see how you feel about that game. You know, I remember doing watching a live stream with Drifter, and he's got Michael Condrey in there. Michael Condrey's asking him in the chat, you know, how'd you find this game? You know, calling him week by week, saying how are your feelings on the game. You know, they wanted to really push for a real good game and a real good balance. They wanted to hit a home run. And I think for their first game that they've published, released on fully by themselves, Advanced Warfare is not as bad. I actually played Advanced Warfare a couple of weeks ago, and it definitely felt more of a Call of Duty game than what Infinite Warfare did. I think Infinite Warfare is definitely going to be one of the weakest games received. I don't think a lot of people have any high hopes of Infinity Ward anymore, just because their team, the way they develop games is kind of in the odd turn. You know, that Ghost wasn't received well. Of course, Ghost right now is looked as as a real fun game and a game that's missed. You know, they innovated so much on Ghost as well. You know, they added so many game modes. It was still fun to play. They had, of course, the first time there was like silencers built into weapons. They changed the way snipers are. They changed the way things rendered. And Ghost was deemed a success in some kind of way, but not in the way that Black Ops 2 was redeemed as a huge success. So it was pretty much disappointing that, of course, you go from Black Ops 2 to Ghost, but then you go from, if you go from Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare to Ghost, you're probably thinking that Ghost was an okay game, like I do. Definitely what we've had over the last 3 years just hasn't really been acceptable. It's probably been the worst 3 years in terms of me as a Call of Duty player, because I find myself not wanting to play Call of Duty, not really caring about it, not being interested, and I just don't think right now Call of Duty is ticking the boxes it needs to. I think Sledgehammer will make a good game if they release it with a remastered version of Modern Warfare 2, then that's going to sell through the roof, or Modern Warfare 3, whatever. If they remaster another game, then that's going to be awesome. I think that would be pretty cool. Speaking of Modern Warfare Remastered, it was a great remaster, but the supply drops, you know, I find myself against them. They should have not made themselves into Modern Warfare Remastered, but hey, that's another topic for another game. But in terms of gaming in 2017, some of the games that I'm anticipated for, really excited for, are Lego Worlds, Portal Knights, Destiny 2, the remastered version of Crash Bandicoot, Lego City Undercover, South Park, The Fractured Butthole if it comes out this year, possibly a new Wolfenstein, to see what Bethesda come up with. Hopefully they announce it this year. Really enjoyed the last one, or the last two on PlayStation 4. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, that looks really, really interesting. And of course, Star Wars Battlefront is of course going to be very appealing, very juicy. All these games are set to come out this year. There of course will be a couple more games on the list as time goes on. I don't know what's going to be hot, but these are just some of the games that I've seen trailers for that have caught my eye, and I'm sort of looking over them, waiting for any news and confirmation. I mean, Lego Worlds, I think, is going to be the next game coming out pretty much in March. I think it comes out 10th of March. I'll be doing a series on that. Lego Worlds is, you know, looks a phenomenal game. Lego City Undercover looks a fun game. Bulletstorm Full Clip, that just looks like the zombie experience that I've been wanting. You know, Destiny 2, I love Destiny 1. The only problem with Destiny is the way they made it in the game, where it was like a grinding system. You know, they've got a lot to learn from, but I think they will, and I think Destiny 2 will be a huge success. Definitely excited and intrigued to see what they have in store for us. I think they know what works now in the community. I think they have listened, and of course the last couple of updates they've done with the Taken King, that was really the finest moment of Destiny for me, really, because I mean, of course, you had the first two DLCs, and then you had the Taken King, and there's one out as well now. I can't remember the name of it, but the Taken King for me really changed the game, and I just can't wait. Of course, I am missing Red Dead Redemption 2 on here. I think that will be a great game. It wouldn't surprise me though if that got delayed later this year. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be interesting to see how Rockstar does that one. I think what they will probably do is they'll do a deluxe edition where you'll get Red Dead Redemption remastered on PlayStation 4, Xbox One. I think that would be huge from them. It would be a huge move. I would like to see Bully 2 come out next from Rockstar after Red Dead. I think, you know, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6 is in the works. You know, they're picking a location, they're doing a story. That's in the works. We can confirm that. But the love they've always shown is Bully. You know, their directors and whatnot, they've always come out and praised Bully. They've always enjoyed Bully. They've always wanted another Bully story, and I think Bully 2 was a game way beyond its time, and I just think Bully 2 needs to come. That is a game that I've been waiting for forever. It's definitely a game that I want a sequel to. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be a huge game for them. But I think that's also one of the games that everyone's waited for so long, and if it comes with Undead Nightmare Zombies, then that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun. That's going to have a lot of people interested, but I think a lot of people are setting the bar too high for Red Dead Redemption, because you've got to remember now is that Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, is almost the most ever successful game ever sold, right? It's that big, right? It's I think it's like third or second on the list, and it's still selling pretty well still to this day. And it's definitely a fantastic, phenomenal game, but what you cannot do is expect for Rockstar to have the same sort of audience and the same sort of style or way of gaming for Red Dead Redemption. If there is a multiplayer thing, it's not going to be like Grand Theft Auto, and I think a lot of people are expecting Rockstar to sort of innovate and really, you've made Grand Theft Auto 5, this is the way you need to go with all games now. Rockstar they know what works for them, they know how to make games. They don't publish a game unless they think it's good. Every game by them has been brilliant, pretty much. And I think a lot of people have been waiting for Red Dead Redemption. It comes out this year, this autumn. It's going to be interesting. Definitely going to hear more about it in the next couple of weeks. One of the other games, like I said, a couple of these games you probably won't have heard of. Portal Knights is a game that comes out in April. It's kind of like a real-life version of Minecraft. Definitely looking into that. Same with Lego Worlds. Crash Bandicoot Remastered. I'm so hyped for that. Crash Bandicoot. Loved Crash Bandicoot, 1 to 3. Fantastic. I wish they were bringing Crash Bash back. But I think what this will do for the PlayStation alone, right? Crash Bandicoot is, of course, owned by Activision now. It used to be owned by Naughty Dog. They then sold the rights, and then they eventually sold it to Activision. Activision is now working with Sony to remaster that whole game. Of course, it's of course a PlayStation sort of exclusive. Of course, a lot of people love Crash Bandicoot. They love Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. And I'm very excited to see if this sparks any other remastered being made for other games, and whether or not we'll get a new Crash Bandicoot game. I think, depending on the sales, depending on how many people are playing that game, depending on how well it's received, I think Crash Bandicoot, this won't be the last time we see Crash Bandicoot in the Sony PlayStation 4 era. I think there's definitely more to come, and of course, if they do, then it's not going to be an exclusive. It's going to be available on the Xbox One as well. I just can't see Activision allowing Sony to take fully control of that. It's too good of an opportunity to make more money for Activision. I think that if this remaster gets done right, in the right way, a lot of people will want other PS1, PS2 big hitters to get remastered, and it will really push Sony to the brink. Of if you really, of course, your PlayStation 4, your console is on top of the market right now, but if you really want to be the be-all and end-all beast that you could be, you need to do more of this. You need to hit the home runs. You need to bring back Spyro. You need to bring back all the original old school games. Of course, they do have a few issues, right? PlayStation Now has failed, and if they announce that it has failed, they'll just get laughed at. So they don't have a backwards compatible feature like the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One does, but the backwards compatible isn't really a big thing, I don't think. A lot of the games that come on there, yeah, they're great for the first couple of days, but you're still playing against a 360 audience. You're still lagging and whatnot. But if Sony could get into a formula where they're publishing things like Crash Bandicoot fully remastered from the ground up, etc. And they're doing this with other PS2 and PS1 games, which you'd have to imagine they are. You know, you don't just sort of make this announcement and not think upon it. You know, you don't just say, right, we've announced this, it's gonna happen, it's happening, okay, let's do it. You sort of think, okay, how can we make our chances better? How can we evolve from this? And I think they'll do that. I think they'll do that in a good way. So I'm excited for that. I'm also very excited for VR gaming. You know, VR gaming, of course, has been for a big thing, and of course it is the future of not just gaming, but also technology in itself. You know, it's the next big thing. It's like having a Blu-ray player. Again, you know, that sort of era. It's kind of, I'd say right now VR gaming is pretty much the most popular big future thing. That and electric cars. You know, there's a lot of things happening in the world, and it's crazy to see the technology go that far ahead of itself. VR gaming, of course, you know, you have PSVR, you have the Oculus, you have the what is it? The Vive. The Vive is pretty much the be-all and end-all right now. That's pretty much the go-to one. PSVR is, pretty much the problem that the other two have, or three now, because of course Samsung are doing one, etc., is the lack of games, whereas the Vive plays every game. But I think VR has to come to a point where it's all wireless, it's not all cables. Right now it's sort of, okay, we'll just complicate things, and of course this is our first sort of product, and this is sort of the first editions where everyone's going hammer and tongs, and throughout the years they'll get better and stronger. I certainly can't wait to see what comes of it, where VR games are, where they're standing, and how they're performing in a year's time. I think probably at this year's E3 we'll probably see our first wireless VR headset at this year's E3. That's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm going to go with. But I'm intrigued to see what happens with VR. So I am going to end this podcast episode here. The Gamers Podcast episode 15 has been a nice return, nice almost 40 minutes. The reason I'm ending it is because I've actually got work in an hour's time at 6 AM. It's now 5 AM, I've got work at 6 AM. So I'm going to end this one here. It's just a quick sort of formula to get back into the way and back into the routine. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Obviously in the next Gamers Podcast there are going to be more of these as the weeks go by. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this week in, week out. Subscribe for more podcasts, subscribe for more gaming videos, and if you want me to include anything new for the way I'm going to reboot this, let me know in the comments how it could improve. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, goodbye, have a wonderful day, and like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and yeah, thanks for watching.